This all started just 2 months ago.
The Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow, quarterback, LSU.
Oh, this is huge. That's Joe Burrow. That's the Heisman Trophy winner last year. He took LSU to the championship and won. That guy had a 95 QB rating in college. Forget Ryan Tannehill. Joe Burrow's going to Cincinnati Bengals. He's going to have A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, John Ross, Auden Tate. He's going to have Joe Mixon, Giovanni Bernard. This perfect right here. PSA 9. I am going to jump all over this.
Andy, this
What's
is
that?
Charles. You must do your research before you buy, Andy. You're an investor. You must show your viewers what happened to Baker Mayfield in 2018 and Kyler Murray in 2019.
I just had the strangest vision. Please tell me you guys saw that. It was Professor... Anyways, in order to understand the best approach to take with Joe Burrow, we need to assess what happened to Baker Mayfield in 2018 and Kyler Murray in 2019. So let's dig in. First, let me say that what Joe Burrow did last year with LSU and his performance in the championship game was clutch, and it was an amazing performance. But to get a better understanding about an investment strategy around Joe Burrow, I feel it's important to look at the last 2 years of 1.1 draft picks in Baker Mayfield in 2018 and Kyler Murray in 2019. Baker and Kyler also won the Heisman Trophy. Baker broke records in the FBS. 2018, he won the Heisman, and then Kyler at the same college at Oklahoma won the Heisman the very next year. But Joe Burrow did break several NCAA FBS records and won the Heisman with the largest margin in NCAA history, including the most touchdowns and the highest passer rating. So like I said, the future is bright for Joe Burrow, but I am not convinced right now is the best time to invest in his cards that are currently available. The first and biggest reason to me is because the cards that are currently available for me to invest in Joe Burrow are never going to be considered his official rookie card. They may be the first released, and for big Joe Burrow LSU fans, that sounds like a really cool collection piece, but for NFL investors and collectors, we're going to want his official RC rookie card in his Bengals uniform. This card in his college uniform, unless autographed, just does not have the same clout as his official rookie card in the Bengals uniform. So unless autographed, all of these initial pre-draft and cards that are released right around the NFL draft all seem to lose value over time. And you can look at other legends in football or basketball, such as Patrick Mahomes or LeBron James, and see the same trend. So I initially went hunting down cardboardconnection.com to find release dates and find set information about when football cards were released and what type of cards they offered. But I got frustrated on Cardboard Connection because it wasn't clear going back to 2018 and 2019 how I could get this information. And so this led me to going to Beckett.com and looking at their news releases around football cards. I was able to find 2018, 2019, and it was the only thing I didn't like about it is that it sorted it in alphabetical order. And I would really have liked it if they sorted it from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, which would help me build that chronological timeline to see when cards were released in accordance with the NFL draft. The reason why I feel this is important because it also shows us a designation between which cards are only sold in hobby or online and which cards are actually sold in retail. Because as we know, the cards that are sold in retail have a higher demand, because more people can get their hands on them. There's a wider spectrum of people that have the ability to get retail cards. So there is a higher demand, i.e. Panini Prism. The sets I focused on to analyze what happened to Baker Mayfield in 2018 are as follows. Keep in mind the 2018 NFL Draft was from April 26 to April 28, 2018. So we have the 2018 Leaf Draft released on March 23rd, 2018. His cards were selling about $2 per card when released. By the end of July, you could get that card for less than $1. By November 2018, the same thing. The card spiked from March 2019 to May 2019 due to the fact that the Browns signed Odell Beckham Jr. The second set is the 2018 Classics released on May 23rd, 2018. Initially selling for around $5 per card, this went down to $1 per card in the middle of July. Then up again around $5 to $7 per card around the middle to end of August, right before the season starts. Then down again to roughly $1 in the mid-September. The highest card price was the same as the Leaf draft when the Browns signed Odell Beckham Jr. Today you can buy that same card for around $5. The third set is the 2018 Absolute. This was released on September 5th. Right when the season started. This card followed a similar trend, highest card prices in September of 2018, then drop and pick back up when Odell is signed. The fourth set I analyzed was the 2018 Panini Prism, which was released on October 26, 2018. When this card dropped, you would have had to pay around $15 per card to buy it right when it dropped at the end of October. But if you would have waited just a couple weeks, you could have started buying this card for $5. This card spiked again at the beginning of last season for around $40 per card, probably because of all the hype surrounding the Browns with the signing of Odell Beckham Jr. and all the other weapons they had on the team with Nick Chubb and Jarvis Landry. There was a lot of hype and publicity around Baker Mayfield. If you'll remember, he was publicly doing interviews and he had a lot of attention at the beginning of the 2019 season. So in 2019, the NFL draft was April 25th to April 27th. And here are the sets that I analyzed for Kyler Murray, who was the 1.1 pick in the 2019 draft. Of course, again, we have the 2019 Leaf draft, which was released in March of 2019. We're just gonna ignore these moving forward because of the initial release prices being so low, a couple dollars, and it just never seems to take off from there. Really, the value around this set is in the autographs. Otherwise, the base card is not going to ever really take off, in my opinion. So the next set is his official rookie card, which was released on May 1st of 2019, and this is the 2019 Score. When it was released, you could have bought the card for $4, but then it spiked in early June up to $7 and then dropped again to $1.25 in July. So I'm starting to see a trend here with NFL cards in general that there is a recession point, a low point, which is a good time for us investors to buy in the middle of July. The next that I analyzed was the 2019 Donruss, which was released on August 7th of 2019. And it was released for around $5, but there really weren't a whole lot of sales, as you can see. And I think this is because a lot of collectors, new collectors getting into the market the beginning of the season last year, saw that Kyler Murray was a first round #1 draft pick, and they took his rated rookie card and they sent them in to be graded. So as you can see here, as these cards started to come back, there's actually a large spike on eBay of graded cards in November. And you could actually had some really amazing deals because right now Kyler Murray's cards are actually have been going up and up ever since they signed DeAndre Hopkins in the middle of March earlier this year. They also made some additional moves to improve their defense and their O-line and additional wide receiver weapons. So I actually think if you look at Kyler Murray in the middle of July, this may be a good time to invest in him if that card dips. The last set I analyzed for Kyler Murray was of course the 2019 Panini Prism, which was released on October 23rd, 2019. This one was interesting because it released with cards selling around $25 the week it released, but just shortly after, within 2 to 3 weeks, in the early to middle of November, you can see that this card dipped all the way down. You could buy several of them for around $10, which tells me another indicator that when cards are first released, they're overpriced from an investment standpoint, as the initial collectors that just gotta have it jump on them. It slowly increased from there and kind of flattened out around that $20 price range until the news came out that the Cardinals had signed DeAndre Hopkins, and then they made the additional moves to the draft. But ever since they signed DeAndre Hopkins, that card has continued to rise and rise. Right now, that card is selling for around $50 to $70. In my opinion, I think that might be a little overpriced, and we'll see how it dips into the middle of July. I'll definitely be following closely because he is a very talented player. He's got some new weapons. If it dips down, I might buy a few because that's a good investment opportunity. Otherwise, my strategy would be to wait until the end of October, middle of November timeframe to see how his performance pans out throughout the year. So with all this information, this tells me a few things about how I can approach an investment like Joe Burrow, because I do have high hopes for him, even though since he has a shaky offensive line, they were ranked 30th at the end of last year. They're still ranked 30th projected going into this year. Also, their defense was like Swiss cheese last year. I mean, it was a joke in the fantasy community that if you had any offensive players that were playing against Cincinnati's defense, just go ahead and start them because they were going to put up points. So taking this into consideration, I'm thinking they're going to let Joe Burrow run and gun. They're probably going to call a lot of play action plays. And if Joe Mixon can still get a few yards here and there, maybe that'll set up nicely for Joe Burrow to hit a healthy AJ Green, to hit Tyler Boyd, who is like a Chris Godwin-like receiver. But to think he can turn the Cincinnati Bengals around in the first year in the NFL in a division with the Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers is a very high expectation for him. And I just think that the odds are stacked against him, and there are really good chances that his rookie cards are definitely going to dip at some point throughout the season, which is when I will strategically invest in them to set myself up for his second season and further on in his career. So the first thing I will not do ever when I'm investing in a brand new rookie into the NFL is buy their cards when they're first released, because what we've seen, the trend out of everything I've shown you today, the cards are always released high because that is when demand is highest and hype around that set from a collection standpoint is highest. So at least wait a couple weeks after they're released before you go out and purchase. So I'm going to be particularly targeting middle of October to early November for official Joe Burrow rookie cards. So I'm also taking this approach with all the other hot rookies coming out of the 2020 NFL draft, and there are quite a few, some really amazing wide receivers and running backs that are going to good teams, particularly guys like Jonathan Taylor going to the Indianapolis Colts. All right guys, now I know I said this last time, but I really wanted to share this research with you, and it's a topic that I feel is very important. As every year there's a ton of hype around the NFL draft and the players coming from it, and a lot of players are impacted from it as well. And I think that coming up in July is going to be a great time as some prices dip, and we'll see. But I still have this box and I have not opened it up. And if I have what I think I have in here, we're looking at a 30x return on my investment. So I cannot wait to share with you what's in here and my plan for the upcoming months leading to the football season. Peace.